Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, coming to you with the morning market preparation video for June 14th, 2018. So yesterday we finally got the FOMC decision and they raised the interest rates by a quarter point. But what kind of affected the market more than anything was the forecast change suggesting another 2 interest rate increases this year, followed by 2 more next year. So 4 more in the cards as a possibility moving forward. And that certainly created a little bit of angst in the market. But I gotta tell you, it wasn't nearly as bad as one would have expected, seeing that additional increase. What we have going here, obviously we did put in, bearish type patterns here, failure type patterns, but we have to also remember we have been testing this resistance area and that the market has been up quite a few days in a row. So a little pullback here would have been expected anyway, or should have been thought of as possible anyway. And what's interesting here is we really didn't see a massive increase in fear or concern in the market. Remember, the Dow is still trending up. So even though we did see some selling and there is some bearish concern out there and reason for a little bit of caution, I got to tell you, the bulls held up quite well. And I'm somewhat encouraged by this, at least for now. Now, currently, the Dow futures are pointing to a flat to just a slightly positive open. And if we were to not get follow through to these bearish candle patterns today, they're not valid. Any candle pattern requires follow through to validate it, and it may not be validated. Now, a pullback into this support area or a pullback to the trend is completely normal. That's what the market does. So I don't think we could blame anything here on just the FOMC or a new news announcement, at least at this point. Just a normal pullback could occur here. Now, one thing you want to avoid doing is establish a bias. If you look at that candle and just are immediately biased, saying, hey, we're just going to go down here, the sky's falling, look out below, all those kind of things, what you might end up doing is absolutely missing the next opportunity to enter the market. We don't know when that will happen, and we don't know if those bulls will actually take over or if the bears will take over. We certainly couldn't predict what would have happened yesterday and can't predict what will happen in the future. So avoid that prediction and avoid that bias and work to just watch price action and follow that price action. Trust me on this, your trading will improve if you can give up that whole idea of predicting the market and avoid that bias. Just look at the market for what it's showing us. We're still showing trend. We're still showing strength. And with futures pushing higher this morning, we may not get follow through to the downside. Let's take a look at the SPY real quick. SPY, again, testing that resistance level up here and putting in a bearish engulfing candle yesterday, which would suggest more lows coming. But once again, futures are pointing to a slightly higher open. So we'll want to watch this closely. It's possible we could slip right into a consolidation in this area and hold on to these the majority of these gains. Remember, trend is still higher. Let's take a look at the Qs. Q's putting in a shooting star top, but let's note that it ended up at the end of the day holding on to that support level and actually put in a new record high print yesterday. So if we happen to hold in this area or hold above this area, Again, that consolidation could come into play, or we could pull back into this trend, and the trend is still in play. So any rest or a pullback in here could be an opportunity to buy. So stay unbiased and focus on the price action of the market. Let's take a look at IWM. The IWM also putting in a little bearish engulfing candle yesterday, but there's no denying the strength of the trend here in the small caps. And any little rest or pullback should not be a major surprise, but let's keep in mind that trend is still holding up and we're looking pretty good. So don't set a bias that we just absolutely must fall. It's not true. We don't have to fall. Let's take a look at the VIX. Now, I think the VIX is actually pretty telling about what happened yesterday. We did get a rise. It did move higher, but you got to admit it really didn't show a lot of fear here. We wiggled higher. Now, could that change today? Yes, absolutely, it could change today. But I have to say, not seeing a substantial reaction in the VIX was honestly a little surprising to me. No fear, no major fear seems to be coming into the market, at least yet. Let's take a look at T21, 22. That 4-week new high, new low ratio, you can see yesterday's pullback actually gave us an opportunity here where the bulls could we now have room to the upside. Now, we could also just break this little trend that we've got going here in this and actually continue to pull back. And that doesn't hurt us either. Remember, we are pretty high, or have been holding up really high in the 4-week new high, new low ratio. So any pullback in here shouldn't be feared, at least at this point, unless it gets kind of out of control. And right now, there's no indication that we're going to get out of control. So watch this closely. We still have the potential, or we have the potential now, more potential even, more room, I should say, to move higher. Let's take a look at the economic calendar today. We have quite a few things on the economic calendar that can move us around. We have the jobless claims here this morning. They're expected to continue to show strength in the labor market. Retail prices are expected to increase. Excuse me, not retail prices, retail sales are expected to increase today. So that could help drive the market if those numbers come in nice and strong as expected. Also, import-export prices may for the first time show some of the stress of the tariffs that have been lobbed back and forth. Import prices may be up as much as 5%, with export prices up about 3% according to consensus. And then we have business inventories that are coming in, and they're expecting to see a rise in business inventories today. But it should be noted that along with that rise in business inventories, actually retail sales have been outpacing those inventory increases. So all seems to be well economy-wise for that consumer. But we do seem to be heating up just a little bit on that inflation side, so we'll want to kind of keep an eye on it. Now, also keep in mind that import-export prices could actually dampen the market a little bit. If we do see the tariff thing come along, that may actually slow down the potential pace of inflation and keep us more in check for a steadier growth rate. It's hard to say, but a lot of possibilities in here to move the market around. So keep an eye on those. Those are those market moving events today. And then, of course, we have bond announcements and a few other reports here, but they're not expected to move the market. On the earnings front this morning, we had about 31 companies reporting earnings today. Nothing too major this morning. There's a Fred Meyer, reporting this morning. Looks like that's moving lower, and as you can see, not exactly a stock of concern here this morning. Also, we will hear from a company called Seed, but as you can see, these are little tiny companies, and nobody really cares here. The big report today will come from this afternoon with Adobe. Adobe reporting this afternoon. So you'll want to keep an eye on that. And Adobe's looking very strong here. And also JBL reporting this afternoon. So keep those in mind as you plan your day forward. Hey everyone, if this is the first time you've seen this information, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button on YouTube and the follow me button on Facebook. Click those thumbs up buttons and drop a comment. You guys have just been so kind. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much for all of those that do take the time to comment. And always feel free to share this video with any friends and family that you might think could benefit. With that, everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Remove that bias, remove that desire to predict the market. Just learn to follow it and trust me on this. It worked for me. It can work for you. And believe me, if I can do it, you can do it. Doing those things will improve your trading. Everyone have a great day. Take care of yourselves. I wish you great profits. We'll talk to you all very soon, bright and early Friday morning.